The Grounds for the Paths by the Bright Letter. Part 1. The Awakened Magi. Ember Glyph. The White Marble Table. The story begins with Vorhelenat going through sword training exercises with Nalisima. It is here, in this beautiful sunsetting of windswept autumn leaves, that they accept it is not Nali's forte. It has been a full summer since Vorhelenat and Nalisima eloped from the barbarian city to Gold Kingdom. The village between was destroyed, looking for Nalisima. They were thwarted by ruler Mordernicula's army before they went searching in gold. Vorhelenat and Nalisima live in a cottage and are neighbors to Ioman. He can often be found nearby chanting strange words. Vorhel and Nali have just found out that Klistatamir will not be hers to fight with. She approaches Ioman. "What are you saying?" she asks simply. Ioman sits against a tree, lazily looking forward with half-open eyes. He realizes Nali is standing before him. "Oh, wow. How long have I been sitting here? Anyway, I was chanting the names of the gods." "Why? Do you do that often?" "I just thought today was the day for it." Ioman suddenly looks as though he must be somewhere. "If you would like to know more, there are books on the five gods." Ioman stands. "I was just headed to the castle of Gold Kingdom. They have a library. Care to join?" "I'd love to," says Freyalina. Nalisima looks at him as if she was not ready to decide. "You need to focus, Nali. Let's see what the gods have to say." Ioman starts in the direction of the castle. It seems to him he had drifted in his mind, like he wasn't paying attention. Something is drawing him to the castle. Where has he been? There was a hushed quiet to the halls of the castle. Not so much calm, but rather uncomfortable, as the political state of the kingdom harbors conflict. Just through here. Ioman gestures to a room ahead of them in the hallway and walks in. Vorhel and Nali enter behind him. The room is quaint, Vorhel inwardly remarks. It is no doubt not the only place to find books. Half of the wall's perimeter are shelves, and the other half is empty, save a marble table within that half center. Ioman sits at the table. The white marble table felt cool against Ioman's outstretched hands. This moment is filled with feelings that is such a gift, this newfound time. Feelings of remembering. As his eyes examine the dark brown lines, apparently jutting from his hands similarly brown, he imagined he was the cause of the lines. He followed with his eyes a single brown line, colliding with lines, making sharp, jagged turns, swerving, curving, swooping, and in periods of lone traverses. He observed the happenings of the line until it reached the opposite side of the table, where the wizard Tariq sat. Ioman immediately straightened and gripped the arms of the sturdy wooden chair on which he sat. "Tariq, I—" As he began, the wizard pulled out a black leather book, holding it up so he could see the cover. In gold, there was a circular symbol of some sort, and under that, a word that read, Aeurthah. "What is that?" Ioman asked, referring to that symbol. "I'm not entirely capable of telling you what it is, but I can tell you where." "Oh, where?" "Here." Ioman was silent for a moment, trying to grasp what the wizard was implying. "I don't understand." "Attempt to see it like this. If you were to leave this room, out the door, through the hallways, and eventually exiting the castle, and you jumped higher than a man has ever jumped before, let us say the height of 200 castles piled atop one another." Trizuk smiled at this idea. "And then you looked down. This is what you would behold." He stared at the symbol for a long while, bewildered. "It is Aeurthah. We will be a part of it forever." Ioman knows a lot of things. He knows how far to pull back on his hunting bow to put an arrow in a deer 50 feet away. He knows how many pints of ale will give him the courage to approach a girl. He even knows the price of steel arrows according to every fletcher in his region. Everything he knows is because it can be applied to his life. And so the next question was unavoidable for him. "How do you know this?" "It is in this book." Trizuk leaned over the 6-foot-long table and raised the book like it was a candle, and he was trying to view Ioman in the dark. "If you read this book entirely and believe everything it says—" Ioman looked over to his neighbors, who were holding a book and quietly reading with spirit. "You will gain unimaginably vast power." Ioman takes the book from Trizuk and begins to read. To say or write in the manner of this text will make what you write happen. Iron thinks for a moment, then decides to give it a try. To say or write in the manner of this text, you will make what you write happen. Iron thinks for a moment, then decides to give it a try. Take me to who will teach me and give to me. The world around Iron then changes dramatically. So, land, strength, requirement, spirit, mind. Yes, isn't it so cool? Nolly holds a beaming smile, then looks to tell Iron what they found. Surprisingly, he is now sitting at the marble table. She returns her gaze to the book. Singulo is the god of land. In the same respect, he is the god of the physical. I wonder if we can take the book with. While Helena is speaking, there's a clamor of shouts outside the door of the room, making him stop talking. Seems there's a problem. He puts his hands on his greatsword. Where's Clostodomir? Asked Nalissima, gripping the book tightly. I returned her to her place in the cottage. No matter. That book will be more useful to you anyway. She furrows her brow and opens it. Daph is the god of strength, she skims. He's also the god of exertion. Helena grins. Thanks. That gives me an idea. He takes one of the two wooden chairs from the marble table and jams the doorknob with it. If they want to get through here, they'll have to exert themselves. Nalissima takes great comfort that what she has learned has been of use. You know, maybe Ioman is a wizard to enchant my crystal for me. For Helena almost forgot. When they came to gold, for Helena was able to give Nalissima an emerald, after looting it from a dungeon delver that he defended himself against. We'll have him enchant all of your crystals, Nally. But first, we gotta make it home. He listens in on the shouts. People are turning against the young prince to be king. They shout for usurpation. They say he's too young to be king. I hope they don't hurt him, says Nally, as someone at the door aggressively tries to make their way in. Don't worry, Helena unsheathes Behemoth. I won't let them. Ayaman stands on a vast purple crystal, so vast that its translucence shows a bright core all the way under. I'm on a gem planet, he remarks. There's not very much to see. Little more observed other than the purple gem, and two figures standing a lengthy distance away. He approaches the first figure. Hello. This figure is a blonde woman with an expression of deep fulfillment. I am Zile. I will answer your questions. I am in waste no time. Tell me everything that is useful for me to know. I am a celestial being. I incarnated in your world as Menzi. I did this simply to experience measures of the tangible. Now that you have awoken, Ayaman, you may find being hard to stomach. Take this, and do not forget. Make it worth it by having everything you go through be to experience measures of the tangible. It matters not that you may befall ill things. What matters is impact and longevity to that aim. Remember, experience measures of tangibility. Impact, longevity. Thank you, Zile. Celestial Zile puts her hood over her head. Ironman walks over to the other figure. This figure is a reptilian humanoid. Hello, answers the figure. I do not reveal my name. I will give you what you seek. Ironman feels lucky to get to meet such a guarded private being. Please, give me an outlet to perform as I please. The reptilian man gives a jolly laugh. As you like. The reptilian man closes his eyes and speaks. Abstract, existing as an idea or thought, without having a physical or concrete existence. He points to the sky. Do you see what I point to? A trifecta of vertical syzygy faintly comes in and out of view through signs which elide a concept. This is the Otherium cycle. You live in Otherium, Delrium to be exact, though usually as a visualization. The cycle will allow you to channel your frequency, dwelling in Otherium's regions and environmental expressions beyond. He takes items from his rose pockets. These are 4 crystals and tablets to navigate. An abstract process sprouts thusly. The figure explains the abstract process. The cycle flows from the obtaining of the energies of these crystals. He hands them to Ioman. Tablets of this deck you put your faith and trust in will be infused with the crystal energy you collect. The figure hands over the tablets. But the infusing only takes place if you have the resources concerning the 3 paths. Verily heed, infinite angel Ioman. The path to come once you return, the path that has brought you here, and the path you choose are the grounds for others to be single players and cooperative players, just like you. I anticipate growth follows for one who has used the Book of Aeurthah. Anticipate away. Is there anything else? Check in with the Otherium cycle. He points to the sky again. Marks of the 7 seasons will be placed when your trust in the tablets infused carries you through. Ironman must have shown an expression of being perplexed, because the figure went on to say, you are an awakened magi, the first Ioman, the main persona. This is, in regards to the outlet. The reptilian opened his eyes. The rest will be revealed. Dragon Slay. The two figures tell Ironman useful things, and give him what he asks for. He then uses the book Aeurthah's power to return. Bring me back to the spot I came from. He is shocked to see that Trazerk is not sitting where he left him, and even more shocking, the door is in splinters. I should get home. He then realizes what just happened. I was whisked off to a gem planet. And learned? Oh yeah, measures of tangibility, impact, longevity. I hope Nali and Vorhel are okay. He leaves the room to see men in full armor speaking to each other at the other end of the hallway. They spot him. Oi! No permitted in castle! Iman runs in the other direction. Bolting onto the exit, he leaves to the portcullis and walks the rest of the way to his cottage. It is night now. He goes to check on his neighbors, but his knocking produces no answer. He enters into his own space and feels a rush of relief from an eventful day coming to an end. I read the book of Aeurthah. I have learned the abstract process of the Ethereum cycle. Everything that happens to me I deem to be experiencing measures of the tangible. With what he can do with Aeurthah, the knowledge of measures of tangibility, and having the power to shape his environment, he sits down to investigate what direction guides him. Ayman took a deep breath in and bellowed out the incantation. At first, not. Then gradually, he actually heard the energy, like the beginning warm-up of an orchestra. The ground beneath him vanishes. The air he once breathed was no more. Visually condemned to the darkness, he existed with no means of observation nor comparison. This continued for what felt like the better part of an hour. Then a single word, the word he has been searching for, droned in and echoed a loop of undying vibrations. When every sense of the meaning became clear, his feet met the ground, his lungs filled, and his eyes took in the surroundings prior. A smile overtook Ayaman, and he whispered to himself the sought-out word, peace. Ayaman sleeps. Vorhel and Ali fight their way through the castle under siege by the people who meant the prince harm. The siegers are those of the people of Gaul scared by how young the prince is. Knights wielding halberds usher the couple to the prince, wishing to meet them. Prince Ironwrist, a guard bows, introducing the soon-to-be king. Brave ones, who fight for my side, what stirs your honor? We were caught in the clash, begins Verhelenat. Their fear is unwarranted. I see. Tell me your names, Verhelenat. Nalisima. Well met. The people's fear may be unwarranted, but with dignity I say it is not without reason. Vorhel raises an eyebrow. Dragons. Fire-breathing beasts from the deep wilderness. People are in danger. He drinks from a chalice. They are destroying the temple of inactivity in the south as we speak. It is only a matter of time before they make their way upward. The young boy's facial expression is hardened, hardly a face of one with no determinability. I've heard of you. Me, your grace? Yes, for Helenot. Bounty hunter. Barbarians destroyed reason for your beloved's return. How did you know? Aye, how? A man they did not notice before interjects. I told them you were headed here. I knew from when I met you, on the foothills. Orc Musk. Yes, you thought I'd passed. I simply lost consciousness. We have kept an eye on you. Not revealing your presence to the barbarians, mind you, Prince Iris adds. That is not how we treat guests. Thank you, wise ruler. Indeed. Since I kept you safe from them, though, I was hoping you might do your kingdom a great deed. Prince Iris stands, albeit dramatically, as if this next thing he's to say is the last traces of what he is able to deploy. Dragon slay. For Helenot became at once excited for job placement. An honorable quest. It shall be done. Splendid. Prince Iris gestures with a finger for the guard to bring something forth. I am to be wed. A rack of weapons is brought before them. The Princess Windame of Northern Fall awaits my union. The rack shows weapons of the finest metals: gold greatsword with an amber wood hilt and ruby pommel, a gold halberd with a dark wood rod and emerald pommel, a silver sword with a black sheen hilt and sapphire pommel, and a gold longsword with an amber hilt and ruby pommel to go with a solid gold shield with the consideration symbol for God on its front. These pieces are yours. He dubs them with their chosen blade, Dragon Slayers. Please, slay dragons laying waste to the temple. I will be in King Eledantus and Queen Redlin's grand castle of Northern Fall, on matters of lineage, to return as king. So it shall be. Rohelna and Nadsima begin to attach the weapons to their person and carry the rest. You may rest in the castle tonight. My assistants will be here to wait upon you tonight, and while you have your duty. They will also be in charge of keeping order while I'm gone, and will send couriers if dire message should surface. Thank you for Helena. Thank you, Nalisima. You may take your leave. They bow and curtsy to the to-be king and leave. Horgmusk in his ornate designed steel ball rolling stool gives an honorable nod. Iman sits outside, waiting for his neighbors to return. After yesterday, Iman just hopes they are alive. Sure enough, Vorha and Nali come walking down the lane, and possessing fine weapons. Iman, I'm so glad to see you are okay. Thank you will assist. Nali, I'm impressed. And Vorhel, do I spy 2 greatswords on your back? Welcome home. Aye, you do. Prince Iris has given us a quest. We'll be needing these. Rahanat heaves the blades to rest on the stone bench next to Ayamin. So where were you? Ayamin explains that the wizard he was speaking to gave him the secrets to existence, and it caused him to, well, teleport. But when he returned, they were gone. Where Helenat and Nalisima both profusely assert there was no one else at the table. Nalisima explains they were gaining a lot of information about the 5 gods when a clamor of shouts broke out. Through the gods, Nali was able to help Vorhel cut through the siege and save the prince. I have an idea, says Ayamin excitedly. I have just learned of the Eotherium cycle. It allows for one to have success in their choices and create their own environment. If we work hard to master the abstract process, we might make easy work of those dragons. Dragons? A voice calls from a little ways off. You know about the dragons? Yil? Well met! Ayamin waves for Yil to come over. This is my best customer, Lady Yil of Reason. I'm going to need lots of arrows, states Yil, pulling out a pouch. I've had to stave off the dragons from entering Delrium. We could use someone with experience against them, remarks Vorhel. We've just been given the quest to save the temple. I'd be glad to join. Yil starts to count her coins. Please, Ayman covers her hand. We'll need that later. My arrows are free to you. Ayman explains to Vorhelinat, Nalisima, and Yil how crystal energy will power the tablets to make what they want to happen. We must train and hurry. The temple of inactivity in our land must be saved. They begin training. Non-target is just meant to be. The day is halfway through, and the 4 of them have been working out the abstract process. It appears the crystal energies lie under the external, as in the environment. That means we can collect the energies by passing over them. He reaches into his pocket and takes out the crystals themselves. These are the hubs wherein the energies pass through in order to infuse onto the tablets. He puts them away. Throughout the day, I've been thinking about the elemental correspondences of the crystals. Initial equals air. Heighten equals earth. Result equals water. Desecratal equals fire. I believe I can churn and shift the elements of reality through interacting with them, producing more crystal energy. Iomin, begins Nali. Can you enchant my crystal here? She pulls out her emerald. I wanted to impart to me the knowledge of the gods. Okay, sure. Also, she adds, I want to be as well versed in the crystals as you. Iomin remembers the book of Aeurthah. I'll enchant your crystal. She places the emerald into his hands, and Iomin finds it very enticing. A fine specimen. He holds it by the tips of his fingers ever so gently, and examines it as it glistens in the noonday light. He begins. Singulo, Doff, Ventual, Aquilmacist, and Activinate. She's your priestess. Initial, heighten, result, desecratum. She cherishes you. She to hold the emerald. Ayamin hands back the emerald to Nalisima. Nali immediately begins to radiate a golden light. Nali recognizes it's happening and holds the gem to her chest. The glow gently returns. Thank you, wizard. You are welcome, priestess. The rest of the day is spent practicing, using blade and bow. For Helena likes the gold greatsword, for different reasons than why he likes Behemoth. He names it Starblade. Yield chooses the silver sword, and names it Lightreach. Nali chooses the halberd, and names it Realm. Ayamin chooses the gold longsword and shield, and gives the names Crestblade and Crestshield. Ayamin notices as they do friendly spars with each other that there are no crystal energies in the combat. For as much as the energies are alive when they are practicing solo, crystal energies while targeting was just not meant to be. What are we going to do about that, wonders Vorhel. We must defeat the dragons. It looks like we're going to have to collect the crystals beforehand, answers Ayamin. Are you ready? He sheathes Crestblade onto his right hip and clamps Crestshield onto his back. Here is that plan. We gather and store as much crystal energy as possible, freezing their dissipation counters and monitoring the crystals to make sure we are doing this the best way. We need to be successful. I will sparingly activate crystals. I have a feeling we cannot use the crystals against the dragons, at least not directly. I have elemental interactions to collect crystal energies, but it is that they will not store within the hubs. They will automatically infuse. I will do everything I can to restore any damage done to the temple. We can use the stored energy to move in and out of areas, so to the castle for provisions, or back here to regroup. He pauses for a moment. I guess since we are all learning the blade, I'll show you guys the way the wizard imbues. I will impart my knowledge of the gods and crystals, and you all can learn from this as we go along, granting you the power of the divines, she smiles. I can nullify that what you do takes in crystal energy. Can you remind me of why that is important? Yo politely questions. Oh, I get it, says Ayaman. We must value cherish what we bring with the crystals, and value cherish the world encompassed by the gods on a whole. Precisely, says Nali. Okay, that's sound, replies Yo. Continue with the plan, Ayaman, bids Vorhel. In order for this to work, we must not only be proficient with the abstract process, but proficient with combat. The dragons must not destroy the temple. We gather crystal energies with our roles here. I interact with the elements for the abstract process now. We gather more crystals as we make our way to the temple, passing over the energies within the external. We use the crystals for provisions and regrouping, and we cannot use them for combat. Ayaman notices it's late in the day. Let's rest and continue tomorrow. The Ancient Ones. The next day, the four on their quest waste no time in getting lots of crystals. Yil is most vigilant to keep the crystals dissipating counter-frozen. Do you have any info of why the dragons are attacking the Temple of Inactivity, Yil, since you are the only one who has encountered them? They say the dragons rose from under the temple, stirred by the monk inhabitants' reading of the gargoyle tablet symbols of the Fantasy Codex. Do they know why their reading would stir them? They suspect it is because the dragon itself exists with more abstract notions, and the heavy work by the followers of Inactivity, who is often considered the god of mind, meaning, name, stillness, and who would have thought abstract, did the stirring. The dragons emerged from the mind itself, breathes Nali. Yes, priestess, which incarnated as the planting upon the temple of the god of mind. As Yule is steadfast in counter-freezing, as Ayaman is churning the elements and slowly imbuing the crystals to infuse, and as Nalisima stays mindful that the crystals activating the Otherium cycle is done with care, all four of them make their way out of Gold, through Delrium, and into the temple region, in this fantasy world called Otheria. They reach the region with ease, with the help of the crystals. It is a sad sight to see such a majestic temple in shambles, remarks Yale. They stand on the outskirts of the region, dragons behaving sporadic, and pockets of flame desecrating the stone work in the distance. They cannot find their footing in the balance, so the chaos of their fire breath ensues. Overhead, gargoyles can be seen offering help to the monk inhabitants by spewing water from their throats onto the flames. I suggest you focus on helping those gargoyles, Ironman, says Lord Helenot, hopefully. Don't let the stone crumble and rebuild it. Certainly. Ironman focuses on the water spells of his elemental interaction to mingle with the water from the gargoyles, that is to stop the damage. With his water, the flames do not only go out, but renew the singed stone to revitalize, stone etchings and all. But Helenot leads the fight against him. With Yil to be ever considerate of the crystals being effective, Vroha charges into battle, knowing the crystals may offer him help, although not with fighting. Can't stir against them, can't freeze against them, and can't imbue against them. No progress therein, but we will stop them, snaps Vorhel. Focus on their open areas, the two wings, the head, the heart, the body, and the tail, suggests Yil. Vorhel jumps into battle with vigor, seeing as it has been some time since he had a bounty. His first dragon is down from a slash at the wings and a stab at the hearts after a few strikes to the tail. His first dragon is down from a slash at the wings and a stab at the heart after a few strikes to the tail. Well done, but a sad sight, Ayaman sighs. Fight on until I figure out what must be done. You said they cannot find their footing in the balance, correct? Begins Ayaman. Yes, explains Yo, keeping dragons at bay with their arrows. This plane is less configured than one might expect. I have to do something. Ayaman turns to Nali. Will you follow me? I need your expertise. I will. Ayame bounds through the maze of dragons in flame, creating water shields for the two of them. It does not give them crystals, but it does not stop Ayame. It does not constitute the targeting of the dragons in combat, the combining of water and air for vitality and movement speed, the matching of earth to add ground, the agreement of water and earth for pouring and absorbing, and more, eventually reaching an entrance to the temple. A monk inhabitant sees them. Thank goodness, heroes! I must convene with the god in activity. Follow me. The monk then springs up in surprising agility, bounding away over stone. Now that they've taken a look around, the temple is made of dynamic passageways of traversing, some simple, some complex, and leads to writings all about the walls. They cannot take the same route as the monk, but they find their own way, eventually getting there. A group of monks breathe sighs of relief as they see the adventurers. How can we help? Do you communicate with inactivity? You could say that. We reach out to him with informed speeches of his ways. You know, the encompassed world branches out from the five gods. Iman tells them he'd like a synopsis of who the god is. Inactivity is said to be the plane layer explained as what is quiet to all but you. This is at the least informative poetically. He is the god of the mind, names, meaning, stillness, and abstract. Abstract, that's it, exclaims Iman. The dragons came from being stirred from the mind. Through inactivity, abstract is a part of that. Iman walks to stand at the etchings of symbols on the wall. Abstract, existing as an idea or thought without having a physical nor concrete existence. What are you thinking, Iman? Questions Ali. I plan on using the crystals to bring balance in their footing. Ingenious, wizard. They run over the stoneways and exit the temple. A dragon overhead is flying and breathing fire. Iman uses his magic to imbue some of the energy stored in the crystal hubs. He changes his reality to allow the dragon to have a semblance of balance. The dragon stops spewing flames, spots the two of them, and lands with a sturdy thud against the ground. Thank you, wizard. I shall return to inside space. Iman puts his hand out to touch the dragon. His snout fits ever so nicely onto his palm, and the dragon fades from view. The technique works. Iman and I then have a joyous time running around casting imbue for the crystals to infuse on the tablets, Nali making sure Iman is ever so understanding of what has come out of his crystals. Dragons are coming out of their sleep and returning to where they came. Some do not. Some are seen flying away with their dragon paws no longer of a rigidity. Iman believes he has saved the realm. Then Iman realizes Vorhel's slaying does not stop. Vorhelenat has been using the coin from the Kingdom of Gold to upgrade his weapons, which he pays for by bringing them dragon heads. Even now, assistants of gold man wheelbarrows with dragon heads piled in them. Yil, Nali, and Iman fear for the dragons. They have footing now, Yil cries, and while not all dragons are innocent, they need not be slaughtered. Nali comes up with a plan. They talk it over and approach Vorhel. The three of us agreed to slay sometimes if you relinquish some of your coin you spend on strengthened weapons. It is smart to not let them go off scot-free, group. I have seen their viciousness. If there are unruly ones, I will come for your aid. But don't you see, Vorhelenot, that you don't have to kill them every time? They destroyed the temple. Give them a chance, Vorhel. Stop killing them. Bah, while you hope to not get singed, I will collect their heads. My original greatsword, Behemoth, will be awfully customized. He rounds up the assistants with a wave of his hand and goes back to the Castle of Gold Kingdom to cash in his dragon heads. Yil the archer, Nali the priestess, and Iman the wizard established the Dragon Treaty, which states you can do more things than slay dragons. Yil the archer, Nali the priestess, and Iman the wizard established the Dragon Treaty, which states you can do more things than slay dragons, such as riding them, raising them, being cooperative with them, and transformation, dragon to human, human to dragon. They send the treaty to Prince Iris in Northern Fall, and he declares that all should know of the treaty. But in the defense of his land, he appoints for Helnath the Dragonhead Collector Knight. This very well pleases his people, and they accept in open arms the prince, and shall crown him king on his return. Eventually, Prince Iris' daughter is born by Prince Windane. They name her Yulni, and she is said to be the High Priestess. The four Dragon Slayers are remembered in history, and become known as the Ancient Ones. So goes the story of the Ancient Ones, the grounds for the Dragon Path. Overzealous Vorhelenot is the Dragonhead Collector. Lady Yil of Reason seeks out her brother to go dungeon delving, with whom she hears survived the barbarian attack and his instability. Nali goes in search of a high priestess. Ayman goes exploring, becoming accustomed to the Ethereum cycle and the abstract path. They agree to one day meet again under the cascading waters of Northern Fall. Part 2. 5 Personas. 10 years later. Word has spread that a group of adventurers slew the dragon that attacked the Temple of Inactivity. It is said they used the power of the abstract process, claims Olivia, the innkeeper of the crystal mug. Fascinating, retorts Sharon. So where did the dragons go? Some say they up and went to the Temple of Imaginstar. You know, where the elementals warred with the humans? It has been about 10 years since the Temple of Inactivity became the ancient ruins, and on account of the monks relocating. 10 years since Ironwrist came to woo the princess. That's why the crystal mug is so lively today. We are celebrating the birth of the High Priestess. Thanks for the info. And the drink. He slides a coin over the counter. Keep it. Today. First drink is on the house. Shouts of praise ring throughout the room. Would you like a room? No thanks, he stands. I'm headed to Imaginstar. Gyrolant returns to his citadel to regroup for the trek to Imaginstar. He hopes that whoever resides in the temple will allow him to be there to bring intangible heightened energy. Maybe he'll even ride a dragon. Gyrolant scries messages to his crystal ball. I look around at my surroundings. A sword hung on the wall, flasks of water, gem seeing glasses, self-made runes, books, parchment for writings, a corner for slumber, wardrobe, alchemy, table, a door. And it's like I am seeing these things for the first time, albeit with forms of hazy glances some instances in the past. I think I'll make the best of it and share this experience with you being in the glass, if you don't mind. I may not give you full detail, for I'm a private person. That being said, you may find this documentation in a positive light, or purpose covering. I hope you do. Further awakenings and their cooperation. After the Ancient Ones saved Delrium from the dragons, word and dragons spread alike. Iamik continued his abstract journey, and became its main persona, growing to be known as Ember Glyph. 5 personas in total paved the way for others to take part in abstract through different methods of crystal collection. The persona Gyrolant is an awakened magi who collects his crystals in the way of upkeep, staying busy to fill his balance. Gyrolant always dreamt of being a dragon rider, so, in an outer sense, he headed to the temple within Imaginstar, where dragons had been spotted. He did not see them initially, so he checked for them in the canyon. He met a man there who told him, "You are soon to awaken, Iron." This utterance disrupted his state of mind, and he decided to collect his thoughts in the temple. In a sort of amnesia, Gyrolant knew himself as Iron, and to wake from this feeling of slumber, he further called himself the Awakening Hermit. The temple became his new home. Gyrolant explored the elemental kingdoms. The dragons gave him the ability to shapeshift into a stone golem. He practiced magic such as scrying and energy management. He mined, smithed, and crafted gems, journaling it in his crystal ball to the being in the glass. Some of the scrying kept its tangibility, while others did not. What he did not tell the being in the glass is that others were present at the temple. A boy named Jai, who could shapeshift into a dragon. A faun named Yogurt, who, when he dreamt as being a man without horns. And a sir named Taz, who had an affinity toward gargoyles. They kept busy and raised in balance until the awakening hermit realizes he was an Ayaman, and returned to his citadel to keep balance there. Jai went home to his dragon family, as he was actually a dragon who shapeshifts into a human, and Yogurt made friends with a woodcutter named Memphon Greek, another faun, and Sir Taz and his gargoyles made their way back to his castle. A persona named Sleer was an awakened magi who did his duty as a royal court wizard to King Eledantes in the grand castle of Northern Fall. There was talk of a master wizard called a Trezor, who could guide apprentices of magic to unlock the chambers of the mind. This disinterested Sleer. He was content with taking care of the mythical creatures in the Grand Castle's dungeon, and content with neutralizing threats that King Eledantes became aware of. Sleer became fond of a basilisk, and this sizable reptile who could turn people to stone became his magic familiar. Sleer had plans of riding one of the dragons in the dungeon away, and onto faraway lands. So he practiced riding them in the dungeons that stretched along under Northern Fall. He served his king well, and talk of this master wizard did not subside. Sleer knew it was time to leave. He led the dragon out of the opening in Aero's courtyard behind Grand Castle, and the wings of the dragon gained height into the sky. And as he flew, he revealed to himself why he did not care for the master wizard stories. It is because I am a Trezor. There were others who helped Sleer on his quest to defeat the rogue servitor aggressors: King Aladante's daughter, Princess Winde, her husband, Prince Ironwrist of Gold Kingdom, and their daughter, High Priestess Yuni. King Aladante's daughter, Princess Winde, her husband, Prince Ironwrist of Gold Kingdom, and their daughter, High Priestess Yuni. A persona named Kolru is an awakened magi who became telepathically connected to a mysterious being. The being gave Kolru the gift of telekinesis that emerged as a white tendril magic that he could control. Kolru, in his inquiry, did not get an in-depth answer when asking the being who it was. He would only be told by the being that it was the gargoyle. Kolru was not satisfied. He went on a journey to discover who the gargoyle was, solving the puzzle with his white tendril telekinesis and his uncanny ability to acquire pouches filled with gold. He even carries a gold ingot. When Kolru decodes the mystery, he realizes, I am the gargoyle. It turns out there is a being called a Chazurk who comes to apprentices of magic to teach them to utilize their mana. Kolru goes on a vacation with his telekinesis coin and the magic mentor within himself. Kolru on his journey teams up with a boy named Loris, who is a super being, uncovering what he can do, what the ancients could do. He also teams up with the leader Mordeniculus, who has ushered in the fulfillment of a prophecy. Thirdly, Kolru has teamed up with a man named Prim, who after going on the adventure that led his friends Eladantus and Redlin to be king and queen, actually doesn't know what mysteries to uncover or fulfill. The fifth persona to mention is Agility Philosopher, an awakened magi who realizes himself to be a superhero. He has learned about the abstract process and the Ethereum cycle. The great imbalance does not sit well with him. He will stop at nothing to eliminate his projection. Agile Philo is playing a game of keep it up, using his super ability to bring heightened energy in, and in so doing, banishing the disequitable energy. He perpetually saves his world, yet the great imbalance persists. When he has surged with all his force and seen his emanated projection in all his glory, he finally surrenders and gives his heart to God. There were others Agile connected to within the bound: the Winterland High Orc Bar, the Ecodium Dwarf Odom, and of the green, the silvery elf Mydra. The four of them defeat the darkness by bringing in the light. Amberglyph, the first Ironman, Gyrolant, the awakening hermit, Sleer, the royal wizard, Kolru, the detective, and Agility Philosopher, the superhero, are the five personas of the abstract process, all with their own unique way of collecting the four crystals to place marks of the seven seasons on the Ethereum cycle, and of the grounds for the paths. Thanks for listening.